Yo, what up, y'all? It's BX Juice. I'm not a blood or a crip or none of that shit. I pop off regardless. I'm a Bronx kid. You already know. Welcome to Regular Real Shit Music TV. I'm your host, BX Juice. You heard? Yo, this is part two. You heard to being a team and not clean. Um, I'm just finishing off, yo. Yeah. So yesterday, like I was saying, man, um, like they said, when I got up, when we finally got up inside the place for the Job Corps and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? They was letting her know, like, yo, you gonna have to pay for his stuff. You know what I'm saying? Until he get right, like I was saying, till we able to set him up the way we need to set him up. You still have to pay for his clothing and stuff like that for right now, for a couple, for a little while in the beginning when it starts. So she still wasn't getting out of taking care of me. You know what I mean? In paying for shit. Um, and And after that, we didn't even. After that, we didn't even. Yeah, we didn't. I didn't go back to Job Corps. I never went back there at all. You know what I'm saying? Because she didn't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Um, because she thought they were just gonna take me in there and that's it. Take me off her hands and that's it. They'll deal with me and she ain't got to worry about that. You know what I'm saying? It didn't happen like that. Like I said, they told her that, like, you're gonna have to provide for him until we set him up and get him stable in here. Like I said, she didn't want to do that. So, I wound up not going there to Job Corps and shit like that. I'm still in the street, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, like I said, I'm being disrespectful. I'm not listening to her no more. I really don't want to hear nothing she got to say, you know what I'm saying? Like before, I used to, back in the 90s, they had this shit called truancy officers and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? If they catch you outside and shit and during school hours, they niggas will chase you or catch you and grab you up and take you back to school and shit like that or whatever. And that with the truancy officers and shit like that. So by this time I'm like 17, you know what I'm saying? So I used to hide, you know what I'm saying? Not I started cutting school and shit like that, not going to TAF and shit like that. And I used to stay off the block at first. You know what I'm saying? Once I started seeing she didn't give a fuck about me and all that, and she ain't, you know what I'm saying? I just like, man, fuck that. I'm gonna stay where the fuck I'm gonna be where I'm gonna be at. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck. I stay right on the block every day, you know what I'm saying? And that, looking back at that, it's like, damn, and no guidance at all, you know what I'm saying? Um, but that's what I was doing, you know what I'm saying? And you know, I just didn't want to go to TAF no more. You know what I'm saying? Because I just wasn't comfortable with how I was looking and how I was smelling and how I was feeling. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't like it. You know what I'm saying? And I had nothing. And I was like, I'm not going back to school. I'm tired of arguing and fighting with people. So I ain't going back to school. You know what I'm saying? And I just stayed out of school. That's how that shit started right there. Me not going back to school and dropping out of school. I was in the 10th grade. You know what I'm saying? I was going. Um, so you know what I'm saying? Like being a team and not clean, that should have put a lot of fucking stress on you, man. And a lot of, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, you got to deal with a lot of pressure when you like that. You know what I'm saying? And not more or less from a lot of older people, but from your peers and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Um, it me dropping out of school and stuff like that and not having nothing. No, it's not her fault that I sold drugs or what I'm saying, or your parents' fault and shit like that. No, it ain't her fault. But guess what? Should have did what the fuck she was had to do with us once you got your kids back. You know what I'm saying? You do for your children. You know what I'm saying? And you don't got to do a lot. You ain't nobody telling you to have millions of dollars. You ain't got that. We know that. So you ain't got to do that. But do something when you can. She ain't even do that. You know what I'm saying? So that right there. I just got fully into the streets now. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with selling drugs and shit like that. Going across the bridge, walking across the bridge with bunk. You know what I'm saying? 161st Bridge, going into Harlem and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Every night, doing all kind of wild shit. and selling drugs and shit like that, carrying burners and shit. Um, and I was only like 16, 17, you know what I'm saying? About to be 17 and shit, man. Um, I just didn't think about school no more. You know what I mean? Now I'm just thinking about how I'm gonna get money, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that, man. You know, I wanted to do for my little brother Kev, but I didn't have even for myself how I'm gonna do for him. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I was looking at it and shit like that, man. And like I said, not having nothing that led right to me going to jail because I started doing things in the street, like I said, selling drugs and shit like that. Going out PA with my, you know what I'm saying, with my nigga Pop and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? You shout to my nigga Pop. You heard what's up, my nigga Big Bro, what up? You heard? So, you know what I'm saying? Doing stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? You know, even before I went out to PA, I caught my first case in Brooklyn, you know what I'm saying? Going to Brooklyn and all that shit because I stopped hustling with Bunk for a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And went to Brooklyn and all that. And out there in Halsey and putting them in all that shit. Caught my first case out there, you know what I'm saying? Trying to make money, you know what I'm saying? I didn't want to be bummy and shit no more, man, and stinking no more, you know what I'm saying? I wanted to have a little something. So I went out there, you know what I'm saying? Me and my man Antoine, you already know, y'all probably caught my Rikers Island story. I'm probably saying that shit there. I'm probably saying that shit in If You On Parole, you know what I'm saying? And I'm probably saying that shit in Being Neutral. Yo, go check those out, you heard? Facts. So shout out to my cousin Bulls Brady, you heard? Brady Way, you heard? Shout out, you heard? My cousin K son, my brother K son, you heard? There's Chocolate Mary Poppins, you already know. Um, but yeah, man, you know, and that's what made me started doing that, you know what I'm saying? Going out, and that's how I caught my first case and shit like that. Not having nothing, not having nobody to take care of me, you know what I'm saying? And just didn't know what to do. And even if, you know, like I said, niggas wanted us to go pack bags and shit. You know what I'm saying? So that shit was crazy to me, man. Um, you know, and from there, just kept getting into more trouble. After that, it's going back and forth to court. Got 5 years probation. Y'all already saw the story and shit like that. So, you know, all of that shit, jail and all that shit, because, you know, I had nothing. You know what I'm saying? And I was a fucking teen and I wasn't clean. You'll do anything, you know what I'm saying? You'll start doing shit, you know what I'm saying? Getting involved in shit like that, you know what I'm saying? To try to get some money. Take shit from people, hand me down shit from people. I had to do that, you know what I'm saying? I had to take shit from people. People would not take shit, but people gave me stuff, you know what I'm saying? And shit, I used to, you know, put on bunk shit, you know what I'm saying? Because he was in the wheelchair and shit like that. His sneakers don't never get fucked up. So, you know, doing shit like that, man, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, that shit I'm not proud of, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, but I just got to eat that shit because I'm an adult now. You know what I'm saying? So when I, you know, I think about stuff and shit like that, like I just can't, I don't got nobody to blame. You know what I'm saying? As a child, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, I just felt like I guess all that shit was my fault. You know what I mean? So, you know, so that's how that go with that, man. And you know what I'm saying? I wasn't the only kid out there like that. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of kids that ain't have nothing. You know what I'm saying? And their parents ain't do nothing for them. You know what I mean? So you know that shit bothered me a lot, man. And you know, but with that, you know, and not being clean and shit like that, you know, and like I said, I really didn't get into it until I got locked up. You know what I'm saying? Once I got locked up, I did a little bit of once I got locked up in well, like I said, I got locked up on the island and shit like that at first in '96 and all that shit. That's why I caught my first case or whatever, going to Brooklyn and all that. And then, you know, after that, I came out and, you know, did some more shit and got caught up again in PA and all that shit out there and shit. Had to do a year out there. Y'all already know. Y'all see my first time to Rikers Island and shit like that, those stories. So I'm telling this, I'm saying about that in those. And you know, and getting caught up like that and having to sell drugs now, you know what I'm saying, going to jail. got locked up in PA because of course I got caught doing the same shit. Um, End up having felonies and shit on my record, man. You know what I'm saying? I got three. Well, now my record is clear. You know what I'm saying? My whole shit is clear because that shit 20 years and shit like that ago. So my record now is clear. But that's at that time, that's what I had. Felonies on my record. You know what I'm saying? And locked up in PA and shit like that, man. That shit was crazy to me, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't have nothing. You know what I'm saying? You know, and being locked up in PA, man, and you know, still not being clean and shit like that, and coming from that, you know, jail is what showed me how to get my ass in the fucking shower and all that shit, man. I can't even lie, you know what I'm saying? Because when you in jail with grown men, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of them is harsh because they're men. But you'll find some of them that'll put you to the side too and be like, yo, you need to wash up, son. And most of them, nobody ain't really gonna tell you that. They'll tell you that if they fuck with you. Somebody fuck with you like that, they'll say that. But they'll start doing shit, saying certain shit, you know what I'm saying? And niggas gonna you gonna get your ass in that shower, you know, you know what I'm saying? So but that's what really got me started getting my ass in the shower and brushing my teeth every morning and doing that stuff, making sure that I do that shit every day. It's jail, man. Jail made me start doing that shit. When I got locked up in PA, people saying little certain shit or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, hell no, let me get my ass in the shower. And once I started getting in the shower and shit like that, I niggas stopped all that shit, you know what I'm saying? Niggas look at me like, all right, you know what I'm saying? That's it. So that jail showed me how to, you know, start being clean and getting my ass in the fucking shower and shit like that, man. Um, Cause like I said, grown men and they ain't play that shit, man. They let you know, you know what I'm saying? And I'm grateful for that, you know. And when I came out, you know what I'm saying, it was a whole different thing when I got out of jail and stuff like that. That's now I'm taking showers, you know what I'm saying? Plus I'm able to buy me a little something now, my own clothes and stuff, because I'm older, of course, now. And you know, so now I'm able to be clean and stuff like that. So you know, going through all that stuff and being a teen and not clean, you know, I taught my kids different. My two boys, nah, I ain't the best dad, and I ain't the best dad in the world. I ain't have nothing even when I had him either. So you know what I'm saying. But what I did have is the stuff that I learned, the important stuff, principles, morals, and stuff like that. I showed my son, yo, you gotta wash up, yo, do this and do that. You don't want to be smelling like this and that in class and stuff like that. So I taught him that those things, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't want that for him, you know what I'm saying? Shit that I had done to me, and I was fighting for that shit, you know what I'm saying? So you know, I showed my boys, you know what I'm saying? I showed Romello, and that's what I'm showing Uriah now, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, uh, everybody don't have a bunch of money, so I'm not trying to act like parents need to have a bunch of shit, because we, especially back then, we really ain't had nothing, I guess. But if you do get something and you do come across something, yo, give to your fucking children, man. I give to my son. If I ain't have, you know what I'm saying, I ain't have it. But if I make it, I can make it to him. If I have it, I give it to him. You know what I'm saying? It's straight like that. You know what I'm saying? And if I don't, I don't. That's it. But I'll make sure it's not gonna be no time going past where, you know, I haven't been with him. 21 years old now, but you know, that's a different story I'm gonna get into. But you know, I do for my sons and do for my kids if I have to. That's what you're supposed to do. If you come across, then do something. Don't just get money and don't do nothing for your fucking kids. That shit don't make no fucking sense, bro. Know what I mean? So, you know, that's the type of time I'm on with that, man. And that's how I feel about that. You know what I'm saying? Being a teen and not clean, man. It is what it is, though, man. You know what I'm saying? Grown man now. I'm always clean now. Smell good all the time. You know what I'm saying? Been doing that for a lot of years now. So, you know, I got more clean years, you know what I'm saying, than dirty years, nigga. Know what I'm saying? But niggas know already, man. You know what I'm saying? dissing niggas and shit like that and teasing niggas about not having shit and stuff like that. That shit ain't fucking cool. That shit get your ass beat up, nigga. Especially like when you a teen and shit, you a kid, man, I'll fight you. You know what I'm saying? You diss my shit, nigga. You know what I mean? But y'all already know, yo. It's VX Juice. It's regular real shit music TV. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a blood or a crip or none of that shit. I pop off regardless. I'm a Bronx kid. You heard? Shout out to the whole NYC. You heard? Shout out to my brother K-Son, the Chocolate Mary Poppins. You heard? Cousin Bugs Brady. You heard? The whole family. You heard? Whole 1/6 You heard? ELD. Whole Watson. You heard? Story. You know what I'm saying? The whole Webster. You know what I mean? Everywhere, the whole Bronx, man. You heard? Shout out to Connecticut, man. It's BX Juice, nigga. Bah!